include key nodal agencies from government of India, UN agencies, INGOs, NGO networks, and other local level NGOs are our partners. And we facilitate interagency coordination, training and capacity building, collaborative advocacy, and information knowledge and learning management through collaborative process for quality and accountability. We are working here since last 16 years. We are very happy. I mean, today we are very fortunate to have speakers and moderators from very rich experience and technical qualification. Our moderator, Professor Dr. Anil Gupta ji, who is professor at National Institute of Disaster Management, he will be handling the session as a moderator. So let me give him a little introduction. Formerly Head and Director, Institute of Environment and Development Studies, Bundelkhand University, Jhansi since 2003. He joined NIDM in 2006, a disaster mitigation and crisis management professional. His PhD, he done in PhD in 1995, postdoctorate from CSIR, NIRI in 1996. He possesses interdisciplinary expertise with institutional development, administration and management, coordinated several international and national projects, over 100 plus publications, including 10 books and 45 papers, guided PhD researchers. And he has a long introduction. Sir himself has suggested to go with a brief introduction of him. So now I request Dr. Anil Gupta ji to take the floor and go further for this session. Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining us as a moderator today.
Thank you, Divya, and good afternoon to all the speakers and all the participants. All the participants are coming from various organizations. Many of them are volunteers. Many of them are working with many non-governmental organizations. Even I see some participants from academic organizations also, and some are representing government-related institutions also. First of all, my compliments to the Sphere India for taking this initiative as COVID-19 Academy. I has been witnessing the entire journey, almost 1.5 years. A very intensive drive of awareness and knowledge sharing has been taken up by Sphere India with its partners. So very effectively, this cooperation is also maintained with various partners, and excellent representation of expertise, academia, practice is coming with their program. So my compliments to them. My special thanks and congratulations to Sphere for taking this subject of landslides. Why landslides are important? Because if we go back to the onset of the discussion on disasters, so almost 3 or 4 decades back, whenever any drought used to come, then we used to use the term like famines, and some aspects of calamity and other things started with the discussion on drought. But in hilly areas, whatever happened, but mostly related with either flash floods or with landslides. And so in the mountain states or hilly areas, the disasters were known as landslides. But landslides are not limited only to the Himalayan states. The hilly areas are in other states also, including in the coastal states. And we have been witnessing a wide range of landslide events. Why I use the word wide range? Because landslides is a general terminology that is being used for any kind of movement of mass or movement of boulders in a sudden manner or in a phased manner, some or other way, causing any kind of significant impact on property, human or other things. In India, more than 15% is considered land mass is considered to be landslide prone, but we cannot exactly be sure about this figure because every year the scenario of landslide is different, maybe based on the type of rainfall, the intensity of rainfall, and then occurrence of these kind of events. We trace back highly devastating landslides, particularly in terms of loss of life. So we may recall 1948 Guwahati landslide, more than 400 deaths, but thousands of deaths were recorded. And in fact, no exact figure in the deaths that occurred in 1968 Darjeeling landslide. So landslides have been taking place of various intensities, various coverage. Recently, in the recent past also, we saw a number of landslides. In Himachal, we saw landslides. In Uttarakhand also, we witnessed devastating landslides. In Maharashtra also, we saw devastating landslides. And now what we are witnessing, that landslides are now known to cause the major infrastructure damage. We can also tell that the damage in the form of economy, damage in the form of loss of life, damage in the form of loss to industry, operations, infrastructure, and these kind of investment. So when it comes to the trend of landslides, we all agree that the landslide trend in general is increasing. But I think it is the experts are here would agree with me that we will need to go to understand the dynamics of landslides to actually tell whether the landslides are really increasing, or the reporting of landslides have increased, or the damage by the landslides increased because of the association of the human and anthropogenic development components with these sites. Then there are a lot of discussions about the implications of climate change, and the impact of climate change on the occurrence of landslide. But many times we also notice that climate change is also being used by the agencies or people as an excuse also. So whenever we are failing in anticipate the risk, when we are failing in anticipatory planning and mitigation of the risk, we put the blame over the climate change. So on the other hand, we all agree that the climate change is causing significant implications, modifying the rainfall patterns, modifying the melting of snow, and so many things. But that should not create an excuse in our proactive approach to identifying and addressing the risk. So the question comes on the type of development, type of technological interventions, type of the blend of technology. So whether the pure engineering measures or whether the bioengineering measures. I recall my previous visits to the Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand, and in fact we had organized a significantly important workshop at IIT Mandi. Well, I see Varun here. Uh, on blending bioengineering measures for landslide risk reduction. So I just when I saw IIT Mandi, I recalled it. So that is important that we need to look at the indigenous knowledge. We need to look at bioengineering or eco-engineering measures and blend it with the civil engineering or other kind of engineering measures, computer technologies, and to see that how an effective institutional mechanism at state level, district level, and local level can be created to institutionalize the landslide risk assessment and risk management. What is now needed that the global discourse or the national level discourse has to be scaled down and has to be intensified to local level. And past 2 days we have been organizing a strategic high level policy dialogue on localizing climate resilience agenda. So there also we all agreed that now the time is basically to have more intensive efforts, more intensive focus on risk assessment and risk mitigation measures in a more proactive manner at the local level. So I think that is very important. Now this webinar is also going to look at that how are we going to enhance awareness. But when we talk of awareness, then there are two questions. One is awareness for whom, and then awareness of what. So awareness for whom, maybe for communities, the people who have to protect themselves. But community is also the part of developer. Communities are also the part of bringing the developmental anthropogenic change. So community also need to be made aware about the land use, landscape protection, the importance of landscaping issues, the importance of protection of afforestation, or the slope conservation measures. I think these are important. And not to forget that the behavioral dimensions are equally and very important, and also to inculcate the sense of accountability in all the stakeholders. And this is important to see that how we make effective risk assessment in a proactive manner, effective alert and warning system. I think that is very important. I hope that some of the speaker is going to talk about this, that before a landslide becomes active, or in a much advanced manner, how can we give effective warning and effective communication to the people so that people can save their life. Maybe the use of computational technology, sensor based approaches, maybe the use of the mobile technology, social media, all kind of things also. And also to see that these incidences should not be left as scars. We also need to have the effective remediation approach. So post landslide remediation approach, how are we going to put in place? Then certainly I have been advocating in various forums that a disaster should not be looked into isolation. When we talk of landslide, its relationship with the flash floods, its relationship with earthquake, its relationship with the drought conditions, the water scarcity conditions, and also its relationship with the forest fire. I think I am giving few examples. There may be many more examples. I think interrelationship of these disasters may not be these disasters occurring the same year or the same time, but an earthquake takes place and it makes many of the boulders and slopes unstable, and then it becomes prone to landslide when the heavy rainfall follows. So I think we also need to have the researches and case studies to understand the implications of one disaster on the at the onset of other disasters. And therefore I would close my the opening remark with this, that we should start looking at the holistic approach to disaster risk reduction of landslide prone areas, and the focus has to be on local policy, local planning, and local interventions. So I am very happy to host this panel of five learned experts here, coming from all five very important dimensions of landslide risk management. So my compliments to Sphere India and Divya for bringing all kind of key stakeholders and expertise to talk on landslides here. My happiness to introduce Dr. Prabhat Pandey ji. Dr. Prabhat Pandey, uh, Dr. Prabhat Pandey ji, good afternoon. Dr. Prabhat Pandey ji is a well-known scientist and having almost 4 decades of journey of his expert contribution. He has also contributed his expertise leading various programs of Government of India under GSI on seismic risk assessment and seismic zonation also. He has retired as additional Director General of Geological Survey of India. We all know that Geological Survey of India is important for monitoring and mapping of landslides. So a very important organization of Government of India, GSI. In fact, GSI, if we compare with the other organizations of the world, GSI comes in the one of the top organizations of the world on geological surveying and investigations. I think very important contributions Professor Pandey had in number of research papers, number of projects that he led, and then after superannuation also he is continuing supporting expertise. I am also very happy to invite to introduce Dr. Varun Dutt. Good afternoon, Dr. Varun. Uh, Dr. Varun is Associate Professor at IIT Mandi. IIT Mandi, as you know, that it is in Himachal Pradesh, and the IIT Mandi since beginning has been taking significant strides on various aspects of landslides, risk management, and other aspects of disaster management also. I recall being in their campus. I hope that now the campus must have already grown much. That time it was many things were under construction, and if I recall, I have seen him there. And there was a small laboratory he had created in a makeshift kind of thing, and we had spent almost half an hour looking at his innovations on sensor-based approaches for landslide. Am I correct, Varun?
Yes,
Professor Chandan. Yeah,
Professor Chandan, right.
So, yeah, so now, so good memories. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Dr. Varun Dutt has taken very innovative steps. I really appreciate him, that how science and technology can create a blend with the social sciences and humanitarian cause. His agenda I really appreciate, and that is very important, because the science should not be left only in laboratories or only in reports. He's also making good publications, but he's also trying to see that his inventions are and innovations are useful in the field also. So I welcome him. Colonel Sanjay Srivastav, yes, Sanjay ji is here. So Sanjay is our old friend. Old friend does not mean he is old. He is not old, but a very long time friend. Since he is superannuated from army, he has been very, very active in disaster management and disaster risk reduction. And past, I would say 5 6 years, he has taken a great mission. His mission towards making India lightning free. I think he's gaining good success also, and he has been successful in bringing the issue of lightning to the forefront of consideration in any disaster management and disaster discussion forum. So, with compliments to Colonel Sanjay for this great initiative. And as we discussed that the rainfall events and the climatic changes have direct bearing on landslide events also. And during his posting in various within the armed forces, his posting also made him exposed to understanding landslide phenomenon and the issues of landslide risk management also. So I welcome him. Mr. Yogesh Singer. NDRF is our, we would say that it is our face when any disaster is there. And it is the only country, India is the only country where we have a specialized force. We have raised a specialized force to deal with disasters. And we know that there is a concept of residual risk, and despite of our best efforts to prevent and mitigate a disaster, disasters continue to occur. So we say that we need to be prepared, and we need to be prepared fully to take action, and NDRF is something created for that. So I'm very happy that NDRF is represented here as Deputy Commandant. Yogesh is here, and who had been very actively in landslide related operations also, but he had, to his credit, excellent training and services in relation with NBC and various other disasters also. He has expertise on management of training also. So with so many expertise, we are very happy, and we welcome you, Mr. Yogesh Singer, here.
Thank you, sir.
Then we have Mr. Yadav. I think the most important the stakeholder when we talk about localizing risk management. So when we say that whatever we talk at international level, whatever we talk at global, national level, ultimate action has to be taken at local level. So there, the role of civil society and role of local volunteers and the people who can weave these people into a network, and who are the local resource persons, are very, very important. So I welcome Mr. Navneet Yadav. I hope Navneet Yadav ji has joined.
Not yet.
So we'll wait for him. But anyway, I welcome him, and because he is one of the very important stakeholder for this risk management approach that we are going to talk about today, and particularly raising awareness within the local development agency, and raising awareness among the local people also. So now opening the dialogue, I think the risk mapping issues, landslide mapping issues, and other interventions are very, very important. And there are 2 3 important aspects where GSI is the most important agency. That the GSI had been maintaining the records of landslides in the historical times, and also has seen the patterns also. So there is a lot to learn from Dr. Prabhash Pandey on the issue of awareness and risk management and preparedness for landslide risk management. So I will invite Dr. Pandey to share his thoughts, and I hope that we can have 8 to 10 minutes, Divya, for him.
Yes, sir. 15, more than 15 minutes, sir.
Okay, so we would like to save some time for question answer. So I would request Pandey sir to have 12 minutes, and then he may exceed a few minutes also. Dr. Pandey ji.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gupta. And I will start from where you left. One thing that I would like to mention here is that, like earthquakes, landslides have also their domains of comfort, where they repeatedly occur year after year. But unlike earthquakes, their repeatability is much faster.
पांडे
That's
सर
why it's
आपकी
of great
आवाज थोड़ा
concern.
बढ़ सकती है क्या? पांडे सर आपकी वॉइस थोड़ा बढ़ सकती है क्या? That would be so nice if it is possible.
I think connectivity is a issue, I think.
हाँ, थोड़ी सी आवाज भी ब्रेक हो रही है डॉक्टर साहब.
Probably प्रोफेसर पांडे आप अगर अपना वीडियो ऑफ कर लें तो शायद थोड़ा सा
जी आप वीडियो ऑफ कर दीजिए. बिल्कुल सही बताया वरुण जी, आप वीडियो ऑफ कर दीजिए सर, तो आपको बैंडविड्थ बेटर मिल जाएगा. जी अब एक बार बोलें सर.
Am I audible now? Is my voice clearer now?
थोड़ा सा तो ब्रेक हो रही है, बट आवाज थोड़ा बेटर है.
Okay, I'll try to speak a little slower. Okay, should I continue?
सर आपकी आवाज ब्रेक हो रही है.
We can do one thing. We can request sir to rejoin, and by the time we can listen from Dr. Varun.
ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि ये वहां से हो रही हो जो सर ने हेडफोन यूज किया है. सर कैन यू स्पीक विदाउट हेडफोन? आप वहां से निकाल दें, सीधे कंप्यूटर से बोलें तो.
Maybe let me try.
हाँ, yes. मुझे लगता है कई बार वो ठीक होता है. जी.
Any better now?
Hello.
If I remove the headphone, am I audible more now?
जी, थोड़ा सा आवाज बेटर हुई आपकी. जी जी.
Sir,
Hello?
unmute, sir, please unmute yourself.
पांडे सर, you are muted. आप अनम्यूट कर लें.
Am I audible now?
Yes. जी.
Now it is perfect, sir. Now it is perfect.
Okay, then I'll continue.
Yes.
As I've already told, I'll share my understanding of landslides, and I take it this way that like earthquakes, landslides also have their own zones of comfort where they repeatedly occur year after year. But unlike earthquakes, the repeatability of landslide phenomenon is very fast. That's why they are of great concern to the society. Now, I will quote the MHA report on disaster management 2011, which says that every year we lose about 150 crores of property due to landslide activity, and 30% of the world's landslides are confined to the Himalaya. So this is a great figure. As far as India is concerned, 0.42 million square kilometer area is landslide prone. That is almost 12.6% of the country's total land area. Himalaya, of course, contributes to the maximum. That is 53% area are landslide prone. Then we come to the northeastern states of Assam, Meghalaya, Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram, and Tripura. They contribute 25% of landslide prone areas. Then we come to the Western Ghats and Konkan, which contribute about 22% of the landslide areas. And as all of you know, that the generation of landslides is strongly influenced by geological, geomorphological, and hydrological characteristics of a region. And the triggering factors are, of course, rainfall, earthquakes, and anthropogenic activities. Now, since GSI is the nodal agency of landslide studies in India. I'll begin with this organization first. That is, since its inception in 1851, GSI has been carrying out landslide studies, but the first scientific work dates back to 1880 by R.D. Oldham of Nainital. Subsequently, a lot of studies were done. And in 1980s, GSI started initiation of landslide hazard zonation mapping all over India using different approaches. And lastly, in 2014, GSI launched the National Landslide Susceptibility Mapping, which in short we call NLSM program, which is being carried out by a large workforce in GIS, adopting multi-class index overlay method. And the outputs of GSI studies are in the form of open file textual reports, GIS-enabled seamless landslide susceptibility maps, landslide inventory maps, and detailed field-based geoparametric attributes. Then in 2019, a committee was formed under the aegis of NDMA, and which issued the guidelines, which are known as the National Landslide Risk Management Strategy, NLRSM. And they have highlighted 6 different areas of study. One is hazard mapping, the second is monitoring and early warning, third is awareness programs, fourth is capacity building and training, fifth is regulation and policies, and sixth, stabilization measures and mitigation of landslides. Now, this first 4, that is hazard mapping, monitoring, early warning, awareness programs, and capacity building, GSI is very intimately associated with these 4 different aspects of landslide studies. And they've been carrying out this job very, very religiously for the last, you can say, a decade or so. A dedicated team of 108 GSI earth scientists placed at 14 different centers across India are engaged in generation of relevant geoinformation for landslide hazard management. So GSI has got a large strength of earth scientists, and they can really afford to map the entire country to the best of satisfaction of the planners. And the GSI's achievements under NLSRM program is that they have already carried out 3.99 lakh square kilometers of landslide mapping of landslide prone areas, which is almost equal to 91% of the target area. And some parts are remaining in Arunachal Pradesh. Then landslide susceptibility maps of an area of about 2.55 lakh square kilometers, that is 61% of the targeted area, have already been uploaded in GSI web portal till 2020. This database contains an inventory of 61,287 active landslide polygons, of which 28,831 are field verified. The polygons provide information on 41 attributes of a landslide incidence. So this is a very important database, and if somebody is interested in getting it, it can always approach the GSI portal. Now, GSI has brought out several publications and reports through its journey, and the future endeavors in the last 10 years I list here: the development of regional landslide early warning system, systematic village level landslide vulnerability assessment in 146 districts, mesoscale landslide susceptibility mapping in 180 identified sectors, establishment of landslide early warning centers at Kolkata, development and implementation of people-centric landslide early warning system, updating and strengthening the digital NLSM database, research and development, and lastly, targeted landslide awareness programs. Dr. Gupta, in his initial remarks, wanted to know what we do in the landslide early warning system. It is depicting a prototype of regional landslide that combines meteorological and landslide dynamics information in the test cases, and these test cases are being run in Nilgiris, and is in northern part of West Bengal in some 2 or 3 selected landslides. Now I'll come to the climate change. The UN's International Panel on Climate Change, in its August 2021 report, has projected that the global temperatures would reach or exceed 1.5 degrees centigrade over the next 20 years. And what this means is that there will be longer periods of heat waves and shorter cold sessions and faster sea level rise. And what does it mean for the Himalaya? This would mean exceptionally high and erratic rainfall and consequently higher frequency and magnitude of geohazards, particularly those related with slope instabilities. And in recent times, in July, we have seen the tragedy of Rishi Ganga, in which more than 200 people perished, several were missing, and certain river valley projects were impaired beyond repair. Now I'll come to one practical aspect, that is the psychological impact of landslide activity. And this is my personal experience. That is, after this 2001 Uttarkashi earthquake, lot of slopes were disturbed because of the seismic shaking. And the GSI received complaints from 38 districts of Uttarkashi district, where people were living in mortal fear. One of the villages that I visited was Agoda. Here the people, the local residents, took me to the top of the ridge, where they said that few quartzite boulders could fall down anytime, and they pose a great risk. So I surveyed that area and I assured them that nothing would happen. And we all came down and sat in a hut. But soon this valley was surrounded by dark clouds, and it started raining. And it rained almost for 2 hours. And I could see the grim faces of the people. And the rains were so strong that the floor in which we were sitting was almost turned like a river. And suddenly I was gripped with fear that if something happens now, if this entire area is washed away, if boulders fall from the ridge, what would happen to me? So I was really so nervous that till the time this rain stopped, I was not in my senses. So when I was returning, I thought that the residents of such areas, such remote areas where the frequency of landslides and earthquakes and floods are so high, they remain under constant trauma. And this aspect is almost neglected in our disaster management efforts, and something should be done for it. Now, to conclude, I would say that our effort should be to work together towards higher levels of understanding preparedness, mitigation efforts, and response mechanism. And lastly, by infusing greater synergy among various stakeholders, such as the central and state government ministries, government departments, academic institutions, corporate sector, civil societies, and citizens, we can achieve our goal of disaster risk reduction to a considerable extent. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Pandey. I think you have thrown the light on the kind of challenges that we witness with reference to landslide that is affecting property, the huge loss of property that you discussed. You also thrown light that how fearful situation can arise in a very, very short time with a combination of various factors. I think participant would certainly have some questions with you. And in fact, we all would like to come back to you once again for some more points. So meanwhile, we would like to move to Dr. Varun from IIT Mandi, who is Associate Professor. He is representing the technical fraternity, who is taking a lot of initiatives in understanding this risk also, and also in addressing this risk. So over to you, Dr. Varun Dutt, for his contribution and for his remarks on this issue. Dr. Varun.
Yeah, Professor Gupta, thank you for the warm welcome. And it was also very heartening to hear Professor Pandey speak, and he covered a large number of things. I'm going to touch upon the early warning and some of the contemporary work which we are doing at IIT Mandi. And I just wanted to check, can you see my desktop and my slides? And can you hear me?
Yes, yes. All.
Oh, okay. So the topic today is technological interventions for landslide risk mitigation. And as you can see, the word technology is mentioned. And I'm a professor at IIT, where we are trying to develop technologies for betterment of society. This is actually my lab, ACS lab. Professor Gupta mentioned about it. He visited. We do research at the intersection of brain, behavior, and computation. So this particular work is, of course, I'm working there. My colleague, Dr. KV Uday, is also involved. And whenever we do things related to landslide, both me and my colleague Uday, we are at the forefront of doing workshops and doing the, the technology and things. So we also have some team members. I'd like to start with some of our students and staff. Praveen, Priyanka, Chandan. Avek is a senior advisor to our company, which we have recently started, and then Ankush and Ishwar as well. So getting started, I just want to see if this works. Yeah. So just to introduce the problem, first, Professor Pandey already mentioned, landslides actually is a big problem in India. And some statistics which have been taken from literature show that on average, almost 5,000 people per year and almost INR 26,000 crores of damages globally. And unfortunately, India is the landslide capital of the world with almost 1,000 crores of damages and 200 or so deaths per year. And this varies. Sometimes we have tragedies like this big landslide, which is located in our district, Potropi. And in 2017, 46 about 50 lives were lost in this area. So the idea was that this was also one of the motivations for starting this research. And what we felt was that we need to come to some technological interventions which could help us monitor soil movements, predict soil movements, and also warn people about it. And unfortunately, at that time, and including today, we find that technologies are there, but they are frightfully expensive to implement. And idea is to come up with technologies which could be low cost, which could be replicated at several locations, and could help society, particularly society drives downstream of such kind of disasters, which are living in the risk zone. So we thought of that Internet of Things and Internet of Things as an area could actually help this problem. And for this, we came up with a low-cost IoT is Internet of Things based technologies and associated machine learning. So I'm going to cover two things in my talk today. I'm going to talk about the low-cost landslide monitoring system we have developed on our campus, and now this is also available for deployment in several locations. We also have a startup which can commercially provide this system to you. The second objective is some of the things which we have gathered data from of soil movements, weather properties, soil properties at different locations where such deployments have happened. We have also tried to use statistical and machine learning, particularly deep learning algorithms, to predict if we can foretell movement ahead of time. So I'll be also showing you some glimpses of some models which seems to do very well. So the first part is the development of the low-cost early warning system, and just to orient us, there are already technologies available in the world before even the system was proposed. This includes GPS, it includes LIDAR, it includes GIS, remote sensing techniques. I'll be covering some part of remote sensing also in my talk, looking at analyses from satellites like Sentinel missions, and others, particularly in European Union. And so these technologies are there and they can be used. But the problem is that their cost is high. Also, the scale at which they work may be even if you're looking from a satellite, we may be able to go to 3 meters to 20 meters, and of course at the regional scale. And oftentimes landslide happens to be a very local phenomena. There is a known location where slides have happened in the past. It's landslide prone, either triggered through rainfall or seismically through earthquakes, and we need to monitor it. So the idea is, can we build on these technologies? Of course, these technologies are there to be able to provide something. So the contribution here is three aspects. One is monitoring, and for monitoring, we can come up with sensors which can communicate with on internet to a cloud. We can also provide some alerts through blinkers and hooters locally deployed on the site, maybe in the village downhill of Port Ropi or along the road. And then we can also provide data to models, particularly machine learning models, which could allow us to train such models and test and then predict movements ahead of time, which could then lead to triggering messages or alerts on mobile phones and other kinds of methods on websites. So I'm not going to go much into detail. This is a more technical slide. It basically talks about some components of how the system works and how the system operates. But the most important thing is that we are starved of power, because in the first thing which goes off when a disaster happens is electrical power, and the second might be the internet. And it's an electrical system, so it has to run on solar energy, and it probably has to also withstand internet connectivity issues. So the idea is that this kind of technology has to be low powered, and one property of making it low power is actually to make it sleep for a majority of time till it needs to be woken up. We call this system Kumkaran in at IIT, the language we use. And why is it Kumkaran is because, like the famous Kumkaran, it has to be woken up either by movement or by rain or by something which may be of interest. So idea is that we can measure a number of things from this system where it is deployed, and some of it has to do with movement through accelerations or angular displacements. Some of it is also related to soil properties like soil temperature, soil stress, then moisture in the soil, and of course soil movement. And then there are weather parameters you can also bring in. And these weather parameters could include temperature, relative humidity, barometric pressure, and also rain and light intensity. Now, why light intensity is interesting is because oftentimes in hills, there are locations where rain falls and it's in the darker, shade zone where the sun doesn't come. So water stays for a longer period of time in the soil. So light probably, or heat, with the light causes heat, IR component would also cause evaporation. So might have an impact on sliding and particularly movements in that area. So of course, these parameters can be processed and could lead to some thresholds, development of certain thresholds for movement, for rain, and this could turn on sensors, which could be done through, through cloud or through radio frequencies where such kind of internet is not available, and then further to machine learning and alerts. So these are the kind of sensors we used in the system. This is an accelerometer, a rain gauge, temperature, relative humidity sensor, barometric pressure sensor, force sensor. This is a capacitive soil moisture sensor. It's a volumetric sensor. It allows us, it's a non-corrosive sensor. It allows us to measure volume in the soil. And this is an ambient line sensor. So this is how these sensors can be put together in a system. And this is how the system looks like. It is having a panel. It has having a rain gauge. It has a casing which is rugged, which can withstand a disaster. Hopefully, if this slides, it's sitting on basically a disaster. So it has to have metallic casing so that it can actually, we can recover something out of it if it gets buried in the soil or in a slide. The other thing is this box with some wires coming in, and these wires are actually the sensors which are going into the soil and it could go almost 15 meters deep into the soil. But we could even put them on the surface of the soil or close to the surface of the soil and other sensors. So the idea is that these sensors have some ranges, and we try to create a system which is having a very robust temperature range, because if you know, in the mountains, temperatures can change from both negative towards positive degrees, and also the movements could also be very rapid with a large change in accelerations and such kind of things. So this is how the whole schematic looks like. So think of this as the Kotropy hill or the landslide prone hill. You can see some tension cracks, and this is where my system is based, right here. And this is how it looks like. I showed a picture. Of course, you will have a house in the valley, maybe a road passing by, and also maybe some internet tower close by. This is typically the hill scene. And you have a tower here, which is the local beacon, which is alerting the house as well as the traffic. And this is all solar power. So when there is movement, the system, so the movements are actually, particularly for landslides, it's not like off the spur phenomena which happens one time. Generally, for movements, for a landslide to take place, movements typically in millimeters start to happen sometime before. And if we can detect those movements, we can probably send this movement to a cloud database where we can either trigger this, or we can, even if the person is inside, trigger a message on their phone. So the idea is that movements of slides which happen much before a slide, typically 2 to 3 hours, they may start before a slide, but they are too small to perceive for human beings to be able to see that there is going to be a slide here. So this is how the schematic of the system a little close by. This is the microcontroller unit. You can actually see some circuitry here. I'm not going to go into details. This is actually a deployment which we have done at the Kotropy landslide. And the system is right here, and it's almost about 300 meters from that background to this Chetavni pole. And this Chetavni pole is basically alerting the traffic that if it comes online, if it starts scooting, then please don't go into the area, because that is a landslide. And we also kind of generate these kind of alerts, which are sent not to the society because it can create panic, but to the disaster control room and to the people who are responsible in this area, who can actually take an action if such kind of movements happen. So the question is now, how do we decide when to trigger an alert and when not to trigger an alert? So the science behind it is very simple. The idea is that movements are normally distributed, or could be generally having a normal distribution, because movements are continuous quantities and there are movements happening a large number of times on sites which are prone to landslide. So we can quantify a z-score for movements, and we can kind of find out what percentile the movement is. Typically, is this a movement which is, say, 2 standard deviations from the mean movement, or is it something which is becoming more frequent? So this is this example which we have created from a system deployed in Balia Nala in Nainital. It's a location prone to landslides. And as you can see, this message came to my phone 56, not right now, but when it happened 56 minutes ago, 42 minutes ago, 28 minutes ago, 1 minute ago. So almost during a period of 1 hour, these messages started to come, and see the intensity of the message. It's a small movement, small, 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 and then suddenly it becomes moderate movement. So the frequency of these messages coupled with the intensity of the movement allows us to create an intelligent warning that there is something going to happen in this location. These many messages of movement in a short amount of time of increasing intensity requires immediate attention, probably evacuation, stopping of traffic, and such kind of things. We have also developed actually a system, as I said, can be on the surface or can go inside the surface. So this basically is a flexible PVC piping where these black thing are the sensor nodes, and you can actually drill in and you can put the system in, and this system would work subsurface depending upon. So probably for deploying such kind of sensor-based subsurface technologies, would probably do a resistivity or GPR survey, ground penetrating radar survey. For those who are not knowing what these are, basically an ultrasound of Earth to find out the profile, the strata, the geological strata underneath, to find out where might be an interesting place to put. And we have also done this deployment actually very close to our campus here, in a place called Gharpa. This is actually a road which goes to Kullu via Mandi, being used a lot these days because the main road via Pandor is under construction from NHAI. So here you can see the sensor nodes are there, and we have actually brought a drilling rig, drilled in, and then we have put the system. And this is the Chetavni pole, and you can see the casing going in. So what happens as a result of this? We actually get movements. So we actually get acceleration or change in accelerations, and then we can double integrate them to get from velocity and then velocity to displacements. And as you can see, in this case, there is movement happening, of course, in micrometer scale or so, all along over a period of time. So one particular axis, which is generally downward, would show significant amount of movement compared to the other two orthogonal axes. This is the website we created where we can actually log the system values every 10 minutes. And you can see it gives you temperature, relative humidity, rain, and many other variables, including change in acceleration, stress, and moisture in the soil in real time. So this part of the talk just talked about what is an LMS, where it is capable of monitoring, and how we can use it. I'll come to where we can deploy it in a short bit. The second objective is to come up with algorithms which could actually, now this system works when the movement has happened or movement is starting to happen. But the question is, can we make the system more preemptive? Can we predict movements ahead of time? So here we've done some work on using statistical models, some recurrent models, and compared such kind of models. So of course our systems are at different places, but we wanted to take data from an established system. So we requested DRDO. They had a deployment in Chamoli Badrinath area, this Tangni landslide. We asked them, can you give us this data from conventional geotechnical, these are inclinometers, and they gave us this data. And there are these 5 boreholes on the slide, and each of these boreholes are these colored dots. So we picked up, and each borehole has 5 sensors, and these are measuring tilt angle. And what we did, we took the sensor which shows the largest movement over a 3-year period, because that seems to be probably the closest to the slip surface. So for every 5 borehole, we get 1 time series, and we actually get 5 time series. And these are the 5 time series from the 5 boreholes, 1 from each borehole. Some are at 3 meters, 12 meters, 6 meters, 15 meters, and so on. And the idea is that typically methods which are moving average or statistical believe that we can use the historical data to predict the next part. And then, of course, recurrent models might actually learn more interesting patterns in data. So this is an example of a model architecture. We call it BSLSTM, bidirectional stacked. And then we have an LSTM model, which is a kind of a recurrent model, basically a connectionist neural network model, long short-term memory model. And so this model we created, and this model got created with a lot of research, showing you tip of the iceberg. First takes time, and this is how typically the model works. You have packets going in. Packets are basically prior movements which have happened, and you're trying to predict the next movement. So prior, say 3, or in this situation, 3 movements with a look back period of 3 to predict the next movement. We varied some parameters in these models. I'm not going to go into detail of these, but both models, the statistical models have parameters which look back, and the LSTM model has parameters which are the layers and the number of nodes and other kinds of things. So when we tried to predict it, we found that the models seem to do very well in both training data set, which is first 80% of the movement values, and the last 20% of the time series is the test. And you can see that the average error the LSTM is producing in training is about 0.23 degrees. And for the test data set, again, the error is quantifiable, about the same as the training error. So the model seems to be appealing. So here actually the data was organized weekly, and weekly means typically that we can predict the average movement happening next week. Of course, recent work, we have also brought it down to a day level, and we can run this model on a day scale. So the orange line is typically the movements which are actually happening, and from the recorded from the system, and the dotted lines are those predictions from the model. And this is something interesting. And there is a split. This is training, this is test, training and test, and this is something interesting thing happening. Some places the model captures it, some places probably the model misses out by a little bit. Okay, so coming ahead, recently we've deployed a system in Kumar Hatti along the Kalka Shimla track, and this system is actually working in conjunction with Indian Railways. So we actually took the same model which we were having, and we tried to predict this movement in Kumar Hatti Dharampur area along the Kalka Shimla track. And now the question is, why did we deploy it in Kalka Shimla track? So for that, we actually went to the satellite data. And here we used Sentinel-1 INSAR small baseline method for doing this analysis. And we looked at typically the movements typically happened from September 2020 to February 2021. And this actually happens to be Chandigarh. And this is where the first set of mountains are. And this is right here, Dharampur. And as you can see that the satellite shows that there are velocities of subsidence, which shows almost minus 37.5 mm per year. These blue areas are the ones which are landslide prone. So now the question is, we've targeted this location right here. It showed very large amount of movement. Of course, this is where also the railway track passes. So this is the system. As you can see, they have put some gabions and things are cracking already. So it seemed to actually validate the evidence we got from the satellite that there is something happening. And actually, we found that right in 120 days after in deployment, there was a large amount of movement on one single day at that location. And this dotted line actually shows you the predictions from the BSLSTM model. So the model is spot on. So I'll just and conclude my talk to say that these kinds of research and things are challenging. We have to foolproof the system from vandalism and theft. There is also requirements of protecting the system from animal intrusion, and there are imaginative ways of doing so. Of course, this is work in progress. So there are a lot of plans to scale these systems up, see where they can deploy. We are talking with a lot of governments, including in Maharashtra, in Kerala, and in other locations, and seeing how we can replicate this technology in other parts of the country. Thank you so much. Thank you for giving me an opportunity. And sorry, I took a little more time.
Thank you, Varun. Very impressive initiative, and I think it is more than 5 years of work but you could reach to some substantial level of understanding and very good work going on. And I hope that we could achieve significant success in the field also, so that a strong validation is there. But you would also agree that this is the part related with the monitoring, the monitoring of active landslide. Now the holistic landslide should look at even the areas where there has no sign of landslide as on now. So looking at other parameters, whether that those areas can become landslide prone in future, and the landslide, the areas where landslide have already occurred, how we are going to remediate it. So those areas would also be the areas of concern for your future research. You would be getting some more students, and you can ask them to think of on those lines also. But anyway, very impressive work, and I'm very happy. And we can discuss on the sidelines also later that how we can work together on this aspect. Many other partners would also join. So thank you. And for questions, we'll come back to you. Now,
Sir, sorry for interruption. Sir, actually, Varun sir and Pandey sir has to leave. So can we take their questions first?
All right.
So, sir, we already got 2 questions in a chat box. One is from Suresh Khanduri ji. Is there any community-friendly model that can lead to create a community-led monitoring of landslides for Himalayan states, Himalayan regions. Actually, even the resources are also not a constraint, because even under Manrega scheme, there is provision of resources for the soil water conservation.
Perfect.
Probably landslide will come under the under this domain. So this is a question from Suresh ji.
Okay, so shall I go ahead and respond to this?
Yeah, please, sir, please, Varun ji.
Okay, yeah. So the quick answer is that I don't think it is there are resources available. Of course, MG Narega is there, but I think there you can get people who actually could also do some deployments and things. But more importantly, there are also resources available under the disaster management, authority at the district and the state levels. And some amount, majority of this money goes into spending into adaptation after the slide or after the disaster, in compensation and restoration. But some part of it could be spent in mitigation, which is the prior to the disaster, in early warning. And one thing I said, you talked about also regional scale, I think, in your question. So the idea is that there are a number of things I have brought in my presentation. For example, satellite analysis. We already know these locations are subsiding at very high rates and or alleviating at very high rates. So these are my vulnerable locations. Now go next level on those locations and deploy such systems. So we are going not like deploying it everywhere. We are identifying the location, going there, deploying it, and then monitoring. And even if you've done what Professor Gupta said, do some kind of curative measure, build a reinforcement, put a KBN, or some civil engineering intervention, you can continue monitoring it, whether that is effective or not. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. There is another question. In the future, would these landslide alerts be disseminated across the CSOs, NGOs, or directly to the communities without limiting to the DM cells?
Okay, so the quick question to it is that the answer is probably we have to be careful. The important thing is that, as Professor Pandey also mentioned in his talk, the psychology, the psyche, the fear. Sending a message in community saying that a landslide is likely to occur might create panic, might create fear, might create, people may not know what to do at that time. See, I can run out of my house, but the slide is actually outside my house, right? I can't leave my house. So, because I've been staying here. So my suggestion is, let's go with a little mechanized approach here. The people in the disaster control room, the SDM, the Pradhan or that Panchayat, the person who is the headman of the village, they need to be brought in so that things happen in a more organized manner. And it's not that these things create delays. The message would reach instantaneously the Panchayat, the police, and the disaster control cell. So I would say that this goes also to what Professor Gupta said, building community, capacity building. So of course, if we are sending this message in the community, we need to train people how to interpret and respond to these messages. Not sufficient to just send the message, because that may backfire. So I'm not against sending it in the community, but I feel that we should train people, we should educate people that many of these messages may not be significant. Some of them are, but this requires a lot of capacity building before we could do that. Thank you.
I would also like to add what Professor Varun has said on two aspects. One is the people-centric alert system. When this 2011 Sikkim earthquake occurred, a lot of slopes mobilized. And there was great demand from the government of West Bengal that certain localities should be examined. And with that point of view, the NDMA constituted an 8-member team from different disciplines. So when we went there, we found that participation of local people is very essential. In one of the slide zones, we could see development of ground fissures. So in fact, these are the early signs, and they appear first in the ground portion, which in case of very large earthquake, very large landslide, this could be hundreds of meters above the, you can say, the path or road. So the participation of village people is very essential. In that case, what we did, we deputed Chowkidar from that particular locality. He was given a register and he was taught how to record the movement along those ground fissures. So this is a way of participation of the local people who are in fact the main stakeholders in case of any happening. And secondly, the Geological Survey of India in association of the British Geological Survey of India is developing a data dissemination center at Kolkata, where from the various monitoring stations, if they record any alert, it will be disseminated to different district magistrates and the SDMAs through a mechanism, and GSI would be issuing daily bulletin about the landslide alert, like IMD does for meteorological conditions. Thank you.
Thank you. Very informative sharing, sir. So there are two subject experts among our participants also. Dr. Vijendra K. Misra ji, he is a technocrat and researcher in the field of landslide risk modeling along higher Himalaya. And Mr. Pratik Chaturvedi ji is from DRDO. So Dr. Vijendra ji would like to ask one question to Varun ji. Vijendra ji, would you please unmute yourself? Yeah, please.
Yeah, Brajen ji, please unmute yourself and can ask your question. Please be brief in the question.
Midun, please unmute him.
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Brajen?
Vijendra Kumar Mishra ji. Have you found his name?
Dr. Brajendra Mishra ji?
Actually, he could not unmute himself. We have to give him permission.
Yeah, can someone do that?
Yeah.
I think he's unmuted. Yes.
Yeah.
Please.
Good afternoon to all. I have just small questions with Dr. Varun. He told that he has developed one low cost landslide early warning system. So I just wanted to understand what kind of a study they are taking into account for installation of that system. Are you installing on already active sites, active landslide site, or barren site in which landslide like GSI has done high resolution landslide suitability mapping. So are you considering those sites also for making some analysis and getting getting the future trend and future kind of analysis that you can incorporate into your modeling? So just I have one question to what kind of study you are considering to do for taking a barren site or existing active landslide site for your installation of this low cost landslide.
Dr. Mishra, thank you for this question. This is very enlightening and very good. Thank you. So I'll just give you a very quick answer because time is running out. So we look at several things. We talk to local people, we talk to the deputy commissioner in that district. The local community and deputy commissioners already know where landslides or generally rock falls or slides or micro slides happen in that area. There are already known locations. Now, beyond that, you talked about hazard zonation maps. If hazard zonation map is available, like Bhuvan or other kinds of resources where we have hazard zonation maps, we would definitely check those as well. We will also talk to PWD for finding out how many times they've cleared the muck on the road at what locations. Try to plot a histogram of that with over the highway to see what are the hot spots over the last few years. And then we go on INSAR analysis, which we recently started, where we start looking at more the movements using satellite data over a period of time, particularly the time series movements. And with all this intel, then we say, okay, we want to deploy that system there. Now, you also talked about some sites where landslide has not happened completely, has not happened before. There, I feel that typically the satellite-based analysis would be useful because that analysis gives us the subsidence and the elevation rates in that area over a long duration of time. And if the time series typically has becoming very steep sloped, then that location seems to be the one which might slide next. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, Anil sir, now we can go further.
So thank you both the speakers, and very good questions in fact had come. Just two brief remarks that for the information, because those related with the questions also. The government of India has modified the National Disaster Response Fund and State Disaster Response Fund, and now those are called as National Disaster Response and Mitigation Fund, and similarly National State Disaster Response and Mitigation Fund. So now these funding mechanisms for nation, country, and the state also has provision for spending money for prevention and mitigation purpose. So, as Dr. Varun was also referring to that, and as Dr. Pandey also referred to the hazard zonation, landslide hazard zonation. Most of the thing is the important thing is that the landslides are there are the slopes are highly dynamic in nature, and there are significant influence of the climatic factors, edaphic factors, other geological factors, and also the anthropogenic factors. So I think in a periodic way, maybe 5 years time, or whatever time is decided, I think this zonation map has to be revisited, because the likely to be active sites for landslides, and as Dr. Bijen was also referring to, and Varun also mentioned. So these kind of suggestions are also coming from various corners. So we'll certainly be discussing on those issues also. Now, I think we will move ahead to the next level of speakers, and we'll look at the responders' perspective from the government side, NDRF, and from hello, yes, yes, Mr. Singer, Mr. Yogesh Singer is here, and it would be really interesting to understand his perspective, because when it comes to any kind of disaster like landslide, the time is very important factor, and the landslide has a kind of a scenario that within the few minutes time, then many things are buried, and the things which are buried also have many lives, and then saving life is not that easy in the landslide locations. So how these operations are carried out, how much time is required, what is the matter of golden hour there, and how can the effective strategy be worked out with the support of locals also, how the local resources and materials can be useful. So we would like to listen from Mr. Singer. Mr. Singer, you can take 10 to 12 minutes.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Good evening to all. Before starting my presentation on I've been assigned the responsibility to discuss about my experience over the operation that I have gone through in my tenure in NDRF. I joined NDRF in the year 2014, and in this duration, I just getting the opportunity or take part in various landslide operations. But there, I talk about three major operations in which we respond, and all these three operations are totally different from each other, and the way we respond in this operation. So before discussing about those operations, I will give you the brief insight about NDRF. What is NDRF, and how our team, what is the composition of what is a battalion, what is the composition of a battalion, how many teams that we are in a battalion, what is our structure, and how we respond during a disaster. Yeah, the aim of this presentation discuss about the landslide operation and various challenges aspects of landslide operation that been faced by our NDRF teams, and response mechanism during the disaster. Sir, and major objective of any operation of our NDRF team or of any disaster response team is to save precious life from the disaster site. Before anything, before debris removal, these are all secondary things. Saving precious life is the most important thing. And landslide operation is the most challenging and time-bound operation, require highest level of professionalism, skills, and coordinative efforts. Every operation required this, but in landslide operation, where damage of house are involved, where people are buried in, under the earth, and we have very limited time to respond. So this is a very challenging operation. Now I talk about NDRF, what NDRF, National Disaster Response Force, and NDMA. National Disaster Response Force is a specialized force that we are constituted for the purpose of a special response to any disaster or any situation that led to any disaster. And we are our force come into assistance after the Disaster Management Act 2005. As sir, my slide is visible on this on your computer, sir.
Yes, Yogesh, it is visible.
Yes,
And
perfect.
if you can mix some Hindi also, because I am receiving requests from my colleague from Bihar and Uttarakhand. If you can mix some Hindi in your session, that would be really great for them.
Okay. The apex body for disaster management is National Disaster Management Authority, जो हमारी सबसे बड़ी जो वो है National Disaster Management Authority है, और ये they have a NDRF is mandated to lay down policy plans and guidelines for disaster management in country, and these plans are added by us, and we all also associated with NDRF, NDMA in capacity building, and we assist them in all these programs that been conducted by them during throughout the country. When calamity of several nature occur, the central government is responsible for providing aid and assistance to affected states, including deployment of the team. मतलब हम लोग अपनी teams भी deploy करते हैं, and other assist at the state request, whatever the request has been getting from the state. We have a control room in our battalion, ma'am. Control room in our battalion that will monitor the situation all that 24 hours, that monitoring the situation in the state. Whenever the disaster happened, we immediately respond on getting the request. We mobilize the team. In fact, we are monitoring the situation. Whenever, in fact, the state are not requesting us, we in fact found that we have a role in that. We talk to them. If they ask us our assistance in that operation, we immediately mobilize our team. NDRF is a specialist force and response to disaster and threatening situation. And on 19 January 2003, after Disaster Management Act 2005, our 4 of CAPF battalions converted into NDRF battalions. Initially, NDRF have only 8 battalions. Then after, and we are multi-skilled, high-tech specialist force trained and equipped as per international standards. And we are also imparting training to SDRF state, and we also have an important role in capacity building. We are trained volunteers, जो हमारे volunteers हैं. In fact, मैं जब मैं initially I joined NDRF, हमने झारखंड में भी काफी प्रोग्राम किए थे और लोगों को capacity building related, like familiarization exercise and all that. And this is our these are all our units. We have 12 units that are all around the country, and these all states that we all Indian state and union territory are presently distributed among these 12 battalions. Likewise, we are 2 battalion NDRF, and we have West Bengal and Sikkim state as our responsibility. Now, and 4 battalion, and we have a 4 proposed battalion, and their training is also going on. And they will and soon, very soon, they will take over. They will take given the responsibility of these 3 northern states of Jammu Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, and Uttarakhand, which are more prone to natural disaster, as we seen in the past. Similarly, 1 battalion is earmarked for Delhi. Now, in future, we are going to have 16 battalion of NDRF. Each battalion is composed of 149 person, 1149 लोग होते हैं, and every battalion has 6 company, and each company has 3 specialist team. So we have 18 specialist team in a battalion, and this is the composition of our NDRF team. We have 47 personnel in each 18 team of NDRF battalion. Now, I give you a brief insight of about my battalion. We are 2 battalion NDRF and located in West Bengal and Nadia district. This is in southern part of West Bengal state. Our distance chart is Kolkata. We have a distance. Kolkata is 51.9 kilometers away from us, and Gangtok is 626 kilometers. Siliguri is 518 kilometers. And these are the 2 states for which we are responsible for. We have total 23 districts in West Bengal and 4 districts in Sikkim. Otherwise, not only this, if situation arises any part of country, then our team are airlifted from our location to the place where the need of team arises due to any natural calamity or any man-made disaster. And this is the vulnerability profile of a state. If we talk about North Bengal and Sikkim, they are highly prone to earthquakes. Landslide is happening every year, or now it's become a every year, or now it's become a normal phenomenon that every year landslide happens. And those places are also prone to flash floods of man-made. In terms of man-made disaster, now South Bengal is more. We have a prone to flood. And in fact, we have a group of the southern part. We have lots of industry, so there is always a probability of happening of chemical disaster and of severe scenario. Now, these are some of the photographs of West Bengal and West Bengal state. These are of Sikkim. So now you're seeing that we have from plains to mountains that we have all in our AOR. And we are capable in handling all type of disaster for which we are mandated. Now I talk about the response team. We already discussed about that. In our battalion, we have always 2 teams always on alert. So whenever they get any information, they quickly move within 20 minutes. Okay. Now I talk about the RRC location. We have RRC locations. The purpose of these RRC locations is that we have, likewise, you have already seen the chart that we are around, our battalion is 600 kilometers, more than 600 away from Sikkim, and North Bengal, we are 500 kilometers. So we have a regional response center so that they can respond in a quick time. So whenever any disaster happens, those teams are reputed over there, they immediately respond on the happening of any emergency. By that time, our teams from our NDRF headquarters, that I talk about Nadia, is also being mobilized to that place, whether it depend upon the time. Likewise, they may be airlifted or they may be go by road, depending upon the situation. So these RRCs are located in 3 different places. One RRC we have Kolkata, one in Sikkim, and one in Siliguri. And there is one company over there along with 3 teams. All these RRCs are very close to airport. So whenever there is any need, certain emergency arise, they may also be airlifted to the part where where they are required. And 2 teams are always in alert mode of out of 3 in the RRC. This is a location of RRC Kolkata, and this is location of RRC Siliguri in North Bengal. And we also have a RRC in Pakyong in Sikkim. So they will immediately respond whenever the disaster happens. And by that time, other team from other places will also be mobilized, or depending upon the requirement. Now I discuss. Now I have discussed about the North Bengal landslide that it happened in the month of June, July 2015. The background of this this landslide is heavy rainfall, particularly the landslide at numerous places in Darjeeling district of North Bengal in June, July of 2015. The landslide occurred mainly in Darjeeling, Kurseong, Kalimpong subdivision of district Darjeeling. And the main affected area are Tingling, Sovarni, and Mirik, Nimki Dara, Sukia Pokri of Darjeeling, 29 miles, and Kalimpong. The total death toll reached up to 38, and the several people were misplaced during this landslide. This is the area of landslide. This happened in the month of June, July in 2015. These are some of the pics of the damages that been caused by the landslide. That whole area, all railways and roads are being damaged by this landslide. Several property were lost, and we have NH55 and NH10 also get disconnected. Many internet. These are, as North Bengal is a place of visit, and most tourists are coming to this places. They are also get stuck because of this landslide. Due to the disconnection of transportation, communication, the normal life of the North Darjeeling and Sikkim is completely disrupted. The life वहाँ पे बहुत disrupted हो गई थी, and a massive amount of debris is scattered throughout the region. It took over a month to clean the debris and re-establishment of regular communication. So now these are the pic of rescue work done by our team. On getting the information, we mobilized 3 of our team from our headquarters in Nadia district near to Kolkata on 28/6/2015, and further 3 teams on 1st of July 2015 from Siliguri, also from our RRC there. And these all team deployed in Limbudhara and Nasri, Soyong and Leva Basti areas. Team are also deployed in village Barempara, Motiachar, Dharampur in Managudi district, Jalpaiguri. So you are seeing that one or two Alipur, not only Darjeeling, Alipurdwar are also affected from this landslide because of the rain happened because of the heavy rain of happened in the month of in these 2 months. Our team stationed there for 2 months and remained part of operation till the induction. And this team keep on moving on different places where landslide happened. This is the pictures of landslide in Mer and rescue work done by our team. And team engaged in the rescue work from very first day and of deployment. Rescue total of 104 people stayed at various places in the landslide. The team recovered 2 dead bodies from the landslide site in village Tingling, Lambudora, Merik district, Darjeeling. Our team also assists the administration and because of the active involvement of NGOs and very volunteers that been trained by us during capacity building time gave us a great help during this relief material distribution, and also they assist in identifying the area when our team move from one place to another. They also assist a lot in that. So we get the fruit of that what we have done during capacity building programs. We established base of operation at the site. Our senior officer also visit the site, and this is one of the landslide site. You can easily make out the level of landslide in that place, and some whole village got get affected from this landslide. Now, difficulties faced by our team during this operation. Weather is very is a great challenge for us. There is rainfall all during these 2 months. Topography is also difficult as roads are washed away, or roads are being damaged by this landslide. So we have very limited vehicle movements. So we all have to move from one place to another place on foot, carrying all our tools, equipment, and in this other agencies, volunteers also help us a lot with and in giving they act as a guide, or they also assist us in the operation. And use of hand tools are used by us because of the massiveness of landslide, and we have mostly we depend upon the hand tools that being like digging tools. And there is active involvement of other agency, and communication is disrupted. So we all have to depend upon our own communication, like satellite phones. We have VSAT satellite VSAT antenna through which we can communicate. We can send the photographs and other things. And after a few days, communication also established. From this picture, you can make out that our troops have to move through.
Mr. Singer, can you conclude in 2-3 minutes?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
We have 2 speakers. Yeah.
Okay. Now I talk about a small. I'll talk about a landslide in that happened in Sikkim in the year 2016 in Mantam district of Sikkim, where a reservoir where a part of the mountain is broken and get and stuck the path of river, and a reservoir is formed over there, and which led to disconnection of some of the villages beyond that point. So as no human casualty occurred because of the timely evacuation of administration, but there is loss of livestock. You can see the picture from this picture, the pictures of the landslide site. There is a dam formed because of the collection of debris at the path of river. A reservoir created. It is more than 2 kilometers in length, and in width it is around more than 700 meters. So at the first, this operation is of 1 month, where we mobilize our team, and in this operation we actively involved in the in providing relief material to the cut-off villages. So you seeing from the pic that a massive a reservoir created where we are going where we are using our boat in the relief operation. Duration is of this operation is of more than 1 month, and we only redirected after giving training to their to the SDRF teams regarding, and they place their own boats, and then after we only cover. Our operation is very appreciated by the state administration, and our team get rewarded for this operation. And similarly, the difficulties you, as in the previous operation I discussed these are the same difficulties that been faced by our team. The weather, the topography, limitation of vehicle movement, other agency involvement is must during this operation, and communication. Or now, this is one of the photographs that our commander over there is being rewarded by Shri Pavan, Honorable Chief Minister of State Shri Pavan Chamblang. Now this is, and now I talk about third. Just I'm in talk about brief, where a landslide occurred in Tibet in Yarlong River, where also a reservoir is created, and there is a warning about given by the Tibetan authorities to India regarding if the breach has happened in the earthquake, there may be flash flood in Brahmaputra River and Siang River. So immediately our team, also NDRF team, airlifted from Kolkata, and they will within a day. This incident happened on 17 October. On 19, our team on getting the information on 19, our team airlifted on reach on the very same day on 19, and we are deployed on that day, and we remain there till up to 25. And these are some of the photograph of our airlifting of our teams to northeast. Or not our only our teams, 6 teams from our battalion. Similarly, 6 teams from other battalions being airlifted, and they are placed in different places. But nothing untoward has happened, and we are returned back after the threat get over. This is all from my side, sir. And as landslide operation is a very demanding operation associated with saving of precious life, coordination and planning among various agency and timely response is the key for success in operation. We have done a lot, and in disaster and response, but still a long way to go. This is all from my side, sir. If anybody have any question, they are most welcome.
Thank you, Singer, and we'll certainly have some questions, because we all are having proud. We feel really great that we have a specialized agency in India like NDRF, which is always ready there to save the life of people in any kind of disasters. And we had excellent records of NDRF. So, and a very detailed presentation, excellent. Now we'll move to Dr. Colonel Srivastava, Colonel Sanjay Srivastava ji, who has been taking lead in promoting, I would say, that science knowledge, the climate science knowledge for public awareness towards disaster risk management. So how do we see this information can be helpful in taking proactive preparedness in landslide risk management? So Dr. Srivastava, I would suggest that we can take 10 to 12 minutes, as we will have one more speaker after you. Yeah.
Thank you so much for this program, sir. And with you being there, it's an honor to speak, sir. We had 2 previous speakers who have spoken about the technology followed by the response. So with my service in the Defense Forces, one had opportunity of witnessing one of the worst landslide of India in Nagaland in 1993. And second, we had the opportunity of Leh mudslide, which was there. It is also called Leh flash flood. So these are 2 nightmare experiences. I will go on the community-based actions. That is the topic given to me. Now, the most important point which comes about is the sensitization about landslide of the community. We all have a lot of scientific information. We get regular inputs on the weather. So in my experience in the forces, as well as in the disaster management, I personally feel this is the area, the community-based actions, where we need to put in lot many efforts. Firstly, as for the Sendai framework, we all know, understanding the risk, understanding the hazard is most important. So this is the point. Since it is a platform of sphere and NGOs are part of, the audience here, they have a big role in sensitization about landslide. NIDM has published a book also. There is a guideline by NDMA. I'll request all to go through उन सारी जो गाइडलाइंस और जो किताबें NIDM और NDMA की हैं, USGS की भी काफ़ी अच्छी किताबें हैं, तो उन मटेरियल को पढ़िए और अपने इलाके से आप उसे रिलेट करके आम जो कॉमन जनता होती है, कम्युनिटी होती है, उसे सेंसिटाइज कीजिए। मैं समझता हूँ ये सबसे बड़ा रोल है, जो एक कलेक्टिव रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है, सरकार की भी, एनजीओज की भी और दूसरे स्टेक होल्डर की भी। इसमें सबसे महत्वपूर्ण जो बात आती है, जैसा कि शुरुआत में ही प्रोफेसर अनिल गुप्ता सर ने बताया था, एनेबलिंग फैक्टर्स ऑफ लैंडस्लाइड, हेवी रेन्स। अभी आप देख रहे हैं कि जिस तरीके से भारतीय मौसम विज्ञान विभाग की फोरकास्ट की जाती है वर्षा के बारे में, उसके साथ ही जियोलॉजिकल सर्वे ऑफ इंडिया आपको लैंडस्लाइड प्रोन एरियाज के बारे में बताता है। मैं चाहता हूं कि जो अभी जैसे आज ही फोरकास्ट आई है कि दोबारा से मॉनसून रिवाइव हुआ है और पूरे देश में अलग अलग 4 तारीख से 9 तारीख के बीच में काफी हेवी रेन्स होनी है। तो इन सारे एरिया के बारे में जहां जहां हेवी रेन्स हो रही है वहां पे लैंडस्लाइड होने की ज्यादा संभावना है। तो मैं चाहता हूं उस हेवी रेन्स को आप मॉनिटर करें और लोगों को जागरूक करें कि भारी वर्षा के कारण वहां पे सॉइल सैचुरेशन बढ़ेगा और वहां पे लैंडस्लाइड होने की संभावना बढ़ती है। दूसरी, जैसा कि डॉक्टर पांडे ने बताया था, अर्थक्वेक इंड्यूस्ड लैंडस्लाइड, जहां भी अर्थक्वेक होती है बहुत ज्यादा लैंडस्लाइड होती है, स्पेशली हिली एरियाज में। तो अर्थक्वेक का फॉल आउट लैंडस्लाइड है, जो हमें यह बताता है कि आपको अर्थक्वेक के साथ साथ लैंडस्लाइड के लिए भी तैयार रहना चाहिए। मैं चूंकि झारखंड का रहने वाला हूं और वहां पे ब्लास्टिंग या माइनिंग की एक्टिविटी काफी होती है, तो हमने देखा है कि हमारे यहाँ बोकारो, धनबाद, झरिया, जमशेदपुर, इन सारे इलाकों में ब्लास्टिंग या माइनिंग की एक्टिविटी से भी काफी सारी लैंडस्लाइड होती है। इनफैक्ट आईआईटी धनबाद, इंडियन स्कूल ऑफ माइंस, उसमें स्पेशल सेंटर है ब्लास्टिंग या माइनिंग जनरेटेड लैंडस्लाइड्स के ऊपर, और वहां पे काफी काम भी हो रहा है। तो ये जो एनेबलिंग फैक्टर्स हैं, हर इलाके से आप रिलेट कीजिए कि आपके इलाके में कौन से एनेबलिंग फैक्टर है और उससे कम्युनिटी को जागरूक कराना, ये बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण काम है। और मैं समझता हूँ सारे एनजीओ इस पे काफी बड़ा रोल अदा कर सकते हैं। इंग्लिश में, फॉर द एनजीओ अटेंडिंग फ्रॉम साउथ इंडिया स्पेशली, वी हैड landslide in Kudugu in Karnataka, we had landslide in Kerala, we had landslide in Kunnur valleys in Tamil Nadu. We really need to sensitize, public community about enabling factors like heavy rains, soil saturations, and other activities which are contributing to landslide. We have early warning. Early warning is something which is very important, which we must know. अर्ली वार्निंग इज अवेलेबल, अर्ली वार्निंग अवेलेबल होती है, लेकिन अर्ली वार्निंग के अवेलेबल होने के साथ साथ जिम्मेवारी होती है वहाँ की जो भी स्थानीय सिस्टम है, चाहे वो डिस्ट्रिक्ट लेवल पे हो, चाहे वो ब्लॉक लेवल पे हो या पंचायत लेवल पे हो। इंसिडेंट रिस्पॉन्स सिस्टम पहले से नोटिफाई होना चाहिए और जैसे ही अर्ली वार्निंग मिलती है तो वो एक्टिवेट होना चाहिए। हम लोगों ने 27 जून को नेशनल डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट अथॉरिटी के माध्यम से एक गाइडलाइन इशू किया है, डिसेमिनेशन ऑफ अर्ली वार्निंग टू कम्युनिटी। वो एनडीएमए की वेबसाइट पे है। मैं चाहूंगा आप सभी लोग उस गाइडलाइन को डाउनलोड करें और अपने अपने इलाके में इंसिडेंट रिस्पॉन्स सिस्टम को उस हिसाब से बनाएं, और उस गाइडलाइन के अंदर हम लोगों ने किस तरीके से अर्ली वार्निंग को ऑपरेशनलाइज करना है वो बताया है। अर्ली वार्निंग के मिलने पे क्या एक्शंस लेने हैं वो बताया हुआ है, और कॉन्टीजेंसी प्लानिंग बताई हुई है। अगर आप इस इलाके को देखें तो एक लैंडस्लाइड की फीलिंग आपको मिलती है, पहले कैसा था और बाद में कैसा था। इस तरीके की सेंसिटाइजेशन आपको पब्लिक को करानी पड़ेगी कि आपकी जो सप्लाई चेन मैनेजमेंट है, रास्ते हैं, कम्युनिकेशन है, बेसिक लाइवलीहुड एक्टिविटीज है, वो किस तरीके से बिगड़ सकती हैं। ये लैंडस्लाइड इफेक्टेड हिंदुस्तान का मैप है। जहां तक लैंडस्लाइड की बात है तो आप देखें, ये चीजें हैं, सबमरीन लैंडस्लाइड, रिवर बैंक कोलैप्स हो सकती हैं, रॉक स्लाइड हो सकते हैं, लैंडस्लाइड कॉज बाय पुअर रोड कंस्ट्रक्शंस हो सकते हैं, डेब्रीज फ्लो इन स्ट्रीम चैनल ये हो सकता है, रॉकफॉल हो सकता है, इरोजन ऑफ क्लिफ हो सकता है। तो ये अलग अलग तरीके की चीजें हैं जो मैं चाहता हूं कि आप वेबसाइट से, जो एनआईडीएम या एनडीएमए की वेबसाइट है वहां से उसे लें और आप अपने इलाके से रिलेट करते हुए अपने कॉमन मैन कम्युनिटी को इसके बारे में अलर्ट करें। लैंडस्लाइड अर्ली वार्निंग के लिए मैंने बताया कि इंसिडेंट रेस्पॉन्स सिस्टम होना आवश्यक है। ऑपरेशनलाइज कराने के लिए टाइप ऑफ सिग्नल आपको डेजिग्नेट करना पड़ता है। जैसे सबको ही को पता है कि लाल रंग की गाड़ी और अगर वो घंटी बजाती हुई जा रही है तो आग लगी है कहीं पे, उसी तरीके से आप अपने इलाके के लिए सायरन कुछ इजाद कीजिए, कुछ वॉइस सिग्नल इजाद कीजिए जिससे लोगों को पता लग जाए कि फलाने इलाके में लैंडस्लाइड हो रखा है। उससे ये होगा कि अगर उस रास्ते से कोई गाड़ी से जा रहे हो तो वो सडनली उस रोड ब्लॉक जो हो जाता है या डेथ ट्रैप हो जाता है उसमें नहीं फंसेंगे। इसके अलावा मीडिया और इनोवेटिव डिसरप्टिव टेक्नोलॉजी का आपको इस्तेमाल करना पड़ेगा। इन डिसरप्टिव टेक्नोलॉजी में आपने देखा होगा ड्रोन का आजकल काफी अच्छे से इस्तेमाल हो रहा है। आप उस इलाके में ड्रोन उड़ाकर बता सकते हैं। तो तरह तरह के इनोवेटिव एक्शंस लोकल एरिया के हिसाब से आपको तैयार करने पड़ेंगे। किसी भी अर्ली वार्निंग के लिए जरूरत होती है रिस्क के नॉलेज की, मॉनिटरिंग एंड वार्निंग सर्विस की, डिसेमिनेशन की एंड रिस्पांस कैपेबिलिटी की। आपको ये भी पता होना चाहिए कि हमारी रिस्पांस कैपेबिलिटी लोकल लेवल पे क्या है, क्योंकि इस जब लैंडस्लाइड होती है तो सबसे ज्यादा जो नुकसान होता है सड़क का होता है, कम्युनिकेशन का होता है, और जो शेल्टर लिविंग शेल्टर होते हैं वो समाप्त हो जाते हैं। तो किस तरीके से कॉन्टीजेंसी प्लानिंग शेल्टर के लिए करनी है वो बहुत जरूरी होती है। और इसके साथ साथ आपकी सप्लाई चेन मैनेजमेंट इंपॉर्टेंट हो जाती है, चाहे वो आप मेडिकल रेस्पॉन्स कर रहे हो, खाना पहुंचाने की बारी हो, या आपके बिजनेस कॉन्टिन्यूटी, आप जो रूटीन काम कर रहे हैं उसकी कॉन्टिन्यूटी के लिए। तो ये बहुत जरूरी है कि आपको स्थानीय लोगों की रेस्पॉन्स कैपेबिलिटी क्या है वो पता होनी चाहिए। मैं आपको नासा का नाउकास्ट ऑन लैंडस्लाइड दिखा रहा हूँ। ये काफी इफेक्टिव मॉडल है और ये स्फेयर इंडिया के प्लेटफॉर्म से हम इसे इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं। ये वेबसाइट है और आज का जो नासा का नाउकास्ट है ये आप देख सकते हैं। इसके अंदर लाल रंग से जो दिखाया हुआ है वो हाई लैंडस्लाइड प्रोन जोन है और लाइट कलर से दिखाया हुआ है वो मॉडरेट है। अगर आप हिंदुस्तान के नक्शे को देखें तो यहाँ पे अरुणाचल प्रदेश पे और ये हिमाचल प्रदेश में यहाँ पे हाई अलर्ट है। इसके अलावा आप देखिए पूरे भारत में, मध्य भारत में विजयवाड़ा, बेंगलुरु, ये सारे इलाके हैं जहाँ पे आप ये देख सकते हैं कि लैंडस्लाइड का नाउकास्ट है। ये लैंडस्लाइड जनरली नाउकास्ट 24 घंटे के लिए लागू रहता है और ये आपको ब्रॉड आइडिया देता है कि किस किस इलाके में लैंडस्लाइड हो रही है। ये काफी इफेक्टिव है। मैं समझता हूँ जब तक भारत का जो जीएसआई के द्वारा तैयार किया जा रहा है लैंडस्लाइड अर्ली वार्निंग सिस्टम वो नहीं आता तब तक इसे इस्तेमाल किया जा सकता है और आप ब्रॉडली उस इलाके में लैंडस्लाइड मॉनिटरिंग कर सकते हैं। इसके अलावा प्रोसेस फ्लो अर्ली वार्निंग के लिए मैं बता रहा हूँ, प्रिपेयर्डनेस और स्टेडी स्टेट के लिए जरूरी है कि आप थ्रेट को मॉनिटर करें, सही तरीके के सायरन को आप इंस्टॉल करें। हम लोगों ने अर्थक्वेक के लिए जैसे एसओपी किया है वैसे ही आप लैंडस्लाइड के लिए भी एसओपी करें। इंटीग्रेशन ऑफ सेंसर एंड मास नोटिफिकेशन चैनल, किस तरीके से पब्लिक को आप इन्फॉर्म करेंगे वो इंपॉर्टेंट है। क्रिएशन ऑफ रिसोर्स पर्सनल, लोकल लेवल पे रिसोर्स पर्सनल, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेटाबेस, ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट हो जाती है। और इन सब के साथ साथ इन सब की कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग के अंदर जागरूकता, शिक्षा और प्रशिक्षण और उसके बाद मॉक ड्रिल, ये चारों कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग के अंदर आते हैं, जरूर किए जाने चाहिए। और इसके साथ साथ भी आपके रिस्पांस की तैयारी होनी चाहिए लोकल लेवल पे, कि जैसे आपके सेंसर्स ट्रिगर होते हैं, आवाज आती है, आप कैसे आप लैंडस्लाइड की इंसिडेंट रेस्पॉन्स सिस्टम को आप एक्टिवेट करेंगे, किस तरीके से क्विक मोबिलाइजेशन करेंगे रिसोर्सेज का, और मल्टी एजेंसी कोऑर्डिनेशन किस तरीके से होगी। क्योंकि आप चूंकि स्थानीय उस क्षेत्र में होते हैं तो कौन सा रास्ता बंद हो गया, कौन सा रास्ता खुल गया, मैं समझता हूँ ये सबसे ज्यादा जानकारी स्थानीय सिविल सोसाइटी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के द्वारा ही दिया जा सकता है। और मैं मानता हूँ कि सिविल सोसाइटी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन जो लोकल लेवल पे प्रेजेंट है, दैट इज द फर्स्ट रेस्पॉन्डर। इवन एनडीआरएफ या एसडीआरएफ जब आती है तो आप उनके लिए गाइड का काम करें।
साहब हमें आईआरएस के थोड़ा सा नेक्स्ट फ्यू मिनट्स में समराइज कर सकते हैं?
दिस इज अ पब्लिक नोटिफिकेशन सिस्टम जो हम लोगों ने तैयार किया है वैलिडेट करके इंडिया मेट्रोलॉजिकल डिपार्टमेंट के साथ। और कम्युनिटी बेस्ड एक्शंस जो कॉन्टीजेंसी प्लानिंग है, स्पेशली शेल्टर, ऑल्टरनेटिव रूट्स, कम्युनिकेशन, सप्लाई चेन मैनेजमेंट, इसके अंदर मेडिकल, फूड दोनों है, सर्च एंड रेस्क्यू, ये हमारे देश की सबसे बड़ी कम्युनिटी लेवल पे कमी है। एनडीआरएफ के द्वारा अवेयरनेस की जाती है, लेकिन इक्विपमेंट हमारे कम्युनिटी के पास नहीं होते हैं। ये बहुत जरूरी है कि आप लोकल लेवल पे अफोर्डेबल इक्विपमेंट कम्युनिटी को दें, जैसे लैंडस्लाइड के वक्त में फावड़ा, रस्सी, एंकर, ये सारी बहुत सिंपल सी चीजें होती हैं जो आप उनको उपलब्ध करा सकते हैं। और बिजनेस कॉन्टिन्यूटी, ऑल्टरनेटिव प्लानिंग, अगर आपके खेत में जाने का रास्ता टूट गया तो दूसरे रास्ते से कैसे जाएंगे, अगर एक रास्ता टूट गया तो गाड़ी कैसे, एम्बुलेंस आपकी दूसरे रास्ते से विक्टिम तक पहुंच सकती है। ये सारी तैयारियां आपको लोकल लेवल पे करनी चाहिए। दैट्स ऑल सर फ्रॉम माय साइड।
Thank you, Colonel Saab. The kind of experience that you have from the ground, uh, including your the experience with the armed forces, you have very long experience dealing with various kind of disasters and more particularly of the hilly terrains. So thank you for sharing your experience, but thank you especially for sharing your experience based on the recent initiative of promoting climate information also, and local level initiative that you say that how voluntary organization can be roped in, and how the community preparedness can be enabled. So thank you. We will come back with some questions from the audience. And the last speaker, but most important speaker, is Mr. Yadavji, for bringing the perspective of the civil society, bringing the perspective that how local initiative should be taken up. And he belongs from Himachal, which is one of the landslide prone state. Recently also we had the incidences. It would be really good to listen to the perspective from Navneet Yadav. Navneet Yadav ji has a voluntary organization which is working very, very effectively, has a very large network, and he has been supporting the government agencies also at national level, and the capacity building programs of government in various aspects of disaster management, and closely working with the Sphere India also and various other institutions in promoting the cause of disaster risk management. Over to you, Mr. Navneet Yadav.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are audible, please.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone. I'll quickly speak on a few points that I prepared, and I'll quickly come to my slides.
Yes, we can see your slide. We can.
Thank you, sir. First of all, I hope that all of you have been reading news from Himachal regarding the recent landslides. I think it's high time that we discuss, not only discuss, but then kind of plan the role of NGOs and voluntary organizations in landslide risk management, because I think due to the lack of knowledge about this very technical subject, I think we have merely been, or say largely been mere spectators in the overall framework of landslide risk management. I would quickly come to a few points that I summarized and that I believe after working in the state of Himachal Pradesh for more than 10 years. First of all, I sincerely believe you must have read the recent report by IPCC, which indicates that the South Asia region, in particular the Himalayan region, would be witnessing like unprecedented kind of series of extreme weather events, and mainly high precipitation events. So I sincerely request all the NGOs who are present here and all the budding professionals, I know there are a few, to kind of focus on this aspect of landslide risk management, that we need to understand that the changes in the climate, they are kind of resulting in the impacts on our weather patterns. And we certainly need to understand that who is exposed and what is exposed to these impacts. and whose sensitivity is more. Like for example, tourism sector. If you talk about the like sectoral classification, tourism sector is far more sensitive for a state like Himachal than any other sector. And agriculture and horticulture are also equally sensitive. And we also must understand that not everyone has the same kind of adaptive capacity to climate change impacts. So beginning from this dimension, because the very reason why I'm showing this random slide like in the beginning is that in my opinion, I think the future won't be a copy of the past. Yeah. So what we have seen so far in Himachal 20 years ago, if you talk to people in Himachal, they would certainly tell you, although they were like once in a blue moon kind of events in terms of landslides, but now they are becoming more and more frequent. The intensity is also increasing. So we need to understand that even if like we get away with the damaging impacts of the landslides, it's the future of our children. Yeah. So it's landslide risk management, in my opinion, has a lot to do with the moral imperative that we should like have in ourselves. So we should have an approach which focuses on vulnerability reduction, like how to address the vulnerability. So I would come to the few points that I have prepared for this discussion. First of all the NGOs, it's not just landslide, by the way. Like I know there are some NGOs, they say that we are focusing on fire. There are some NGOs, they say we are focusing on earthquake risk management. But what happens if an NGO working on earthquakes is the only available NGO in a region hit by landslides? So we certainly need to like even me as the leader of Doers, this NGO, I understand that I lack a lot of knowledge and skills on this, landslide risk management. So we certainly need to have a strategy for our internal capacity development, and this is very important for all the NGOs. Yeah. Second thing, which I think should have been the entry point for all the NGOs, we being the local like champions for different issues, I think it's very important that we understand that the development in the region, especially the Himalayan region, has not been very well risk informed. Like you see the mega power projects, and although development is a need for everyone, including the government, including the locals, but if the development that we are doing is risk blind, then it certainly would lead us to a more catastrophic kind of future. So one of the examples, and I'm citing the very concurrent kind of examples, that there is a advocacy campaign going on in district Kinnaur and Lahaul Spiti, which focuses on no means no. Like this is enough. Although even if in the end the government decides to kind of go with the projects, I think it's very important that at least we, the civil society, listens to its inner voice and kind of present the case in a louder manner. Yeah. So advocacy is a must. We should not be a party to something which kind of puts our like children's future in jeopardy. Yeah. So third thing, what I sincerely believe is, at the moment, the disaster risk management planning at the grassroots level, which we call CBDRM, it's not working very well. Like although on papers everything looks nice, NIDM also prepared a wonderful guidelines on CBDRM, but unfortunately there is no mechanism to kind of see whether these CBDRM guidelines are practiced or not. Fourth thing is, and I believe like Dr. Gupta has enormous experience in this particular domain, and I sincerely wish that NIDM sometimes in the coming days you plan a workshop on eco-DRR, which I believe that is a very important aspect in terms of dealing with landslides. And I was in Japan, I think in 2016, and I got to see some wonderful examples of gray-green landslide risk mitigation measures, which doesn't necessarily like landslide risk mitigation is not only about building a concrete retaining wall. Yeah? So there's much more, like green solutions are there, and eco-DRR certainly presents hope for the the vulnerable communities, as well as it doesn't require loads of resources. This is also one part. Yeah. So other points is we certainly need to strengthen the interagency coordination. In my view, in the recent landslide events, the response agencies were like kind of searching for the dead bodies even after 7 days. And I saw no local NGOs from like District Kinnaur supporting the NDRF. It's not just their job. Yeah, so we need to, like, even the DDMAs need to, if there is someone from any DM authority here, I would sincerely like to request them that geo-NGO coordination doesn't take place in one meeting that you organize in 1 year. Yeah. So for that, we need to have a sustained kind of dialogue among different stakeholders, and then only we can expect a very effective kind of coordination before, during, and after disaster. And other point is resource planning is very important, and we certainly need to because I see there are panchayats on their own. They have kind of installed some gabion walls, some flood protection measures, some landslide protection measures. But I think the recent changes in the even Panchayati Raj Act, where the dissolution of power, like because now there is no money coming to the middle tier, like the Gram Panchayat Samiti level. So I think due to resources related challenges, I think the measures that can be taken at the grassroots level, they are not moving ahead in the expected manner. And next thing is, we do not have enough teams. Although like HPSDMA now has a task force, a scheme for the creation of task force for effective disaster preparedness and response. But so far the progress, and unfortunately the COVID came, but then so far we have a considerable progress in terms of creating local level task forces of the people. And my colleagues at Doers also, they have been working with the DM authorities in preparing the communities, because disasters, as we all know, they come without any warning. And even if you might have seen that video where someone like a tourist, I suppose, was running here and there with a bleeding nose after that rockfall event in District Kinnaur. So what can possibly we do? Like as we civil society organizations, we can build the capacities of local people. At least you can provide the basic first aid. Yeah. So this is like, our risk is on 0 to 100. It's enormous. But then we can bring it down. Even if we bring it down to say 80 or 70, it would be a great thing. Yeah. So like, let's focus on all the doable things that we can do, and mitigate the risk in a climate smart way. Is please read. Yeah, I know that NGOs do not have that strong culture of like learning, reading from different resources, but please read what is going to happen in the Himalayan region in particular. We are certainly going towards a very concerning kind of state of affairs when it comes to landslides, and we are certainly going to get impacted heavily by extreme weather events. And there's not even a discussion for this. Yeah. And the last thing in this slide, I would suggest our friends, and I have huge respect for all the NDRF heroes. Please try to do away with natural disaster misnomer, because it kind of shifts the blame on nature. Yeah, there was a clear-cut warning for the tourist entering that region. I saw several Facebook posts. There was a conversation between two people. One decided to go to Kaza to celebrate her birthday. Unfortunately, she is no more. She was adamant to go to Kaza via Kinnaur to celebrate her birthday, and one of our friends said that no, it's going to be heavy rainfall, let's not go there, and this kind of discussion. So landslide is just a consequence of some natural event like slope movement or something, but what happens is always it always has a human connection, whether it's the exposure of some human beings or their property, or their presence of their some elements related to human systems. But this is very important, because this is easy. Like, you do something wrong, and whenever something wrong happens, you blame it, start calling it act of God. So please try to see landslides and other hazards as not as natural disaster. They are natural hazards, of course, yeah. But then what converts them to disasters is certainly our presence in hazardous areas, which we know can lead to damages and loss of lives. Yeah. So I think in the end, this is the global thing. Yeah. There's no magic in it, but I think we all can see where we can, like, for example, Professor Varun mentioned that they are working on they're working more on mitigation part, landslide risk mitigation. So although they are observing the hazard part, they are doing some hazard assessment also. But what NGOs in particular can do is to kind of alert the people. You take lessons from Kotropi landslide, where local panchayat was well informed that a landslide may happen. Previous year also, the DDMA Mandi, they informed them that a landslide may happen, but still the business was going as usual. So we can reduce the exposure of people, especially when there is a heavy rainfall event. At least that time we can ask people not to have their businesses around that area. So in the end, NGOs have a great role to play in landslide risk management. We certainly need to build our capacity, our own knowledge and skills, as well as to know who is the most vulnerable and try to work on that part also. So thank you so much. I had a few slides, but I think we are running short of time, extremely running short of time. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Yadav. I know that you have dearth of knowledge, but you have great amount of knowledge with you. There is no dearth of experience and case studies with you, because the kind of work you have been doing, and we can keep on talking. In fact, none of the speaker here has a limited knowledge. In fact, all the speakers that they have a huge amount of knowledge and experience on the subject, and we can, even one speaker can talk more than 1 hour or 2 hours. So we'll have another opportunities also, but for the sake of the timelines that have been designated, and to initiate the dialogue, because this is a series. Basically, the Sphere India has a series, so we'll be coming up with more such programs on sub themes of the landslide risk management. Maybe next time we talk that how only vulnerability, or how only the role of key stakeholders, or maybe local level preparedness. So that would be really great. So I think that all the 5 speakers presented a very wonderful and very appreciable kind of discussion. And if there are some questions, we would be happy to take quickly in next few minutes. Divya ji, हमारे पास कुछ प्रश्न हैं क्या?
Yes, sir. There are some few questions in chat box, and we can also invite some. I mean, if someone would like to ask.
जी.
Midun, allow all the participants so they can unmute themselves.
Yes, ma'am. Done.
जी, हम कुछ सवाल ले सकते हैं, और लोग अपना brief introduction दे करके आप सवाल पूछ सकते हैं.
Yeah. So by the time I'm taking some questions from chat box, how do you coordinate chemical disaster? Any experts are attached to here with the team? So any of our speakers, or Sir Anil sir, or there are few participants also from the same background. If anybody would like to answer this question.
वैसे तो ये आज का जो वेबिनार है उसके टॉपिक से रिलेटेड नहीं है, बट कभी-कभी ऐसे भी इंसिडेंसेस पास में हुए हैं कि जब लैंडस्लाइड की वजह से भी केमिकल रिलीज हुआ है. फॉर एग्जांपल, सब पाइपलाइंस आर देयर, and a running boulder hits the pipeline and it gets rupture. So these kind of incidences. But recently abhi kuch chemical disasters COVID period mein bhi hue hain, when the industries were being unlocked. So during the unlock period, so chemical disasters may be because of any material which is flammable or explosive, or toxic, and stored in a huge quantity. Uska ek threshold value hum kehte hain जो रेगुलेशंस के अंदर है, तो उसमें हम मैक्सिमम जो एक MAH यूनिट कहते हैं, हम मैक्सिमम एक्सीडेंट MAH मेजर एक्सीडेंट हैजार्ड यूनिट। सो उस तरह की यूनिट्स जो होती हैं तो उनके अंदर हमको ऑन साइट एंड ऑफ साइट इमरजेंसी प्लान्स भी दोनों के लिए बनाने होते हैं। इस पे चर्चा करेंगे तो थोड़ा सा ज़्यादा लंबा समय लगेगा, और चूंकि ये आज के विषय से डायरेक्टली रिलेटेड नहीं है तो मैं बहुत ज़्यादा डिटेल में नहीं जाऊंगा। बट केमिकल डिजास्टर पे बेसिकली काफ़ी लीगल प्रोविजंस भी हैं, और अभी ये काम जो है वो मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एनवायरनमेंट एंड फॉरेस्ट को दिया गया है पिछले 30 साल से, और अभी ये चल रहा है कि ये डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ केमिकल्स एंड फर्टिलाइजर्स को शिफ्ट कर दिया जाएगा, बिकॉज केमिकल्स आर डेल्ट बाय द मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ केमिकल्स एंड फर्टिलाइजर्स। सो इस तरीके का प्रोविजन है, और भारत सरकार ने एक नेशनल गाइडलाइंस भी बनाई है एनडीएमए के अंदर, और एक नेशनल एक्शन प्लान फॉर मैनेजमेंट ऑफ केमिकल एक्सीडेंट्स भी बनाया है, जो मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एनवायरनमेंट ने बनाया था, एनआईडीएम ने भी उस पर हेल्प की थी जी।
Thank you so much, sir. So Prafulla Rao ji would like to make some point here. Prafulla ji, please unmute yourself.
Right, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yes.
I'm from Kalimpong, and I'm from an organization called Save the Hills. We're working on the landslide for last 12 years. And I know Sanjay, who's a Fauji like me, and I also know Varun, because we've taken the product a long time back and tried to use it in Kurseong. What I would request the NIDM, if you can kindly take this up, sir, is that we do require automatic weather stations and landslide early warning stations to be installed all through the Himalayas. And what I know of from Varun is that their equipment is coming at a very affordable rate. As far as I know, the equipment, the automatic weather station which we've got here in Kalimpong, and which we've installed in Kurseong, there are altogether 4 stations here in this region. It has been made by Davis, which is an American company. It came for about 1,30,000, which isn't very costly, by the way. But what Varun has got is something which comes for about 20,000 or 30,000. If that is the cost which he is still maintaining, then we can afford to keep this equipment all over the Himalayas, and that would be a good way to keep monitor weather, because much of the weather is behaving erratically. Just to give an example, in July in Kalimpong, in 3 days, first week we had a massive rainfall. Around the 11th we had another massive rainfall, and on the 29th we had 232 millimeters of rainfall in one night. In 3 days, we had 84% of the monthly rainfall. So this is the type of rainfall which I think Navneet was hinting at, which we have to be very familiar with in the Himalayas, and our mountains cannot take it. I am Praful Rao, but I'm from Kalimpong. We are a part of an organization called Save the Hills. We've been working for landslides and other forms of disaster for the last 12 years. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rasav. I think very important initiative, and the kind of work that you are doing. We would look at some more opportunities to listen to your experience in more details also. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. We'd love to.
We have Mr. Pratik from DRDO. If you would like to make any comment, any insights here, and from other participants also, if you would like to ask anything, if you would like to come with any comment, please unmute yourself. Pratik ji, are you there? I think he left.
I think all are permitted now to open their video and.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
they are already permitted. They are already permitted. Sir.
Anybody have any comment, any short comment, or any question? Please feel free. It is your forum.
Jayesh ji is there from groundwater. Jayesh ji, would you like to come in? If you are finding difficulty in unmute yourself, please let us know in chat box. Hello. Yes, Jayesh ji, would you like to give any comment here?
No, actually, I just wanted to thank Air India for arranging such an informative webinar. Actually, I am from Jal Shakti, Ministry of Jal Shakti, and we have many projects in the Himalayan region also. So we just we see it project and we talk about encroachment, but many violators, and that the violations in the mountainous region, those are causes of one of the major causes of landslide. And for that, there should be some stricter some need to be controlled. That is what I just wanted to say. Thank you again for such a webinar. Thank you.
So, अगर और कोई प्रश्न है तो हम ले सकते हैं. मुझे लग रहा है अभी शायद 6 बज के कुछ मिनट हो रहे हैं, तो लोगों को शायद संध्याकालीन कुछ काम याद आ रहे होंगे इस वजह से, और वैसे भी काफी लंबा आज का सेमिनार रहा और बहुत अच्छा सेमिनार था. आई एम वेरी हैप्पी एंड वेरी प्लीज्ड टू सी दिस काइंड ऑफ events by iSphere India. My compliments and congratulations to all the speakers. Thanks to all the speakers, and compliments to Divya and entire team of Sphere India and all the participants. I see that a good number of participants are still here. So with this, over to you, Divya ji.
Thank you so much, sir. And now I request my colleague Midun to convey vote of thanks to all participants, all speakers, and moderator Anil ji.
Thank you, ma'am. Firstly, I would like to thank all the speakers, Dr. Prabhas Pandey, former Additional Director General of GSI, Dr. Varun Dutt, Associate Professor at IIT Mandi, Colonel Sanjay Srivastava, Chairman of CropC, Mr. Yogesh Singh Singer from NDRF, and Mr. Navneet Yadav, Associate Director of TOOS. Thank you, each and every one of you. I would like to thank our moderator of the session today, Professor Dr. Anil Gupta, for not only moderating the session, but for also sharing your insights on the subject, sir. Thank you so much, sir. And I would also like to thank the entire team of Sphere India for arranging the session on the topic raising awareness and preparedness for landslides. And last but not least, I would like to thank each and every one of the participants for joining the session and sharing your insights and being part of the discussion. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Thank you, Sphere India. Thank you, NIDM.
Thank you. Thank you, Midun. Now, Midun, we can close the session.
Okay, ma'am.
Namaste. Good evening. Good night.
Thank you so much, sir. It was really wonderful session.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yogesh ji, thank you so much for bringing
Thank you,
us.
ma'am. So nice of you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Hi, Yogesh. Nice meeting.
Yeah.
Good evening, sir. Good evening.
Good evening. How
are you, sir?
Absolutely going strong.
So, it is already visible from your photos, sir. बात करते हैं सर किसी दिन सर आप जब आप पे टाइम हो when you have some spare time for us, sir.
Sure.
Okay.
Thanks. Wonderful deliberation. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.